I love how she makes me feel. Like anything's possible. Like, I don't know, like life is worth it.
I first watched 500 Days of Summer when I was 17 years old and still relatively unexperienced in matters of love. It was an entirely different experience for me. The next viewing happened during the summer of my 12th grade when I was 18 years old. I had already encountered the complexity and failure of romance. This time, the movie resonated with me in profoundly different way. Third encounter with the film occurred when I was 21, having recently experienced the loss of what felt like the love of my life. It took me 2 more years to fully move on from that heartbreak. Each time I revisited the movie, it left me with range of emotion. Sometimes I feel deep sadness for Tom, while other times I found happiness. On occasions, I even attempted to understand the story from Summer's perspective. 500 Days of Summer holds significant meaning in my life as it mirrors the evolving stages of my own romantic journey. Now, having gained more experience in relationships, having lost and retained certain people in my life, I thought it was high time to watch the movie once again. 500 Days of Summer starts with the introduction of Tom.
Tom Hansen of Margate, New Jersey, grew up believing that he'd never truly be happy until the day he met the one.
Earlier when I watched this movie, these dialogues seemed very normal. I didn't understand how wrong I was about this toxic romanticizing of this concept.
This belief stemmed from early exposure to sad British pop music and a total misreading of the movie The Graduate.
British songs, for example, Angie by Rolling Stones and Yesterday by the Beatles. In these songs, the singer expressed their continued love and longing for the person who already left their lives, emphasizing that their happiness is tied to the presence of that person. These lyrics convey a sense of emptiness and a desire to rekindle the relationship to find happiness once more. In the impressional childhood age, this kind of song seems true. You start to give too much importance to the person you are falling in love with, emphasizing you won't be happy without them. This kind of pressure is not fair to anyone. When I first watched The Graduate, I initially perceived it as a typical romantic comedy. Looking back now, I am somewhat horrified by the simplistic interpretation. In the film, Benjamin, a recent graduate, experiences a sense of alienation and an overwhelming desire to find his purpose. However, he is unable to do so. His life takes a turn when he encounters Mrs. Robinson, who, at first glance, appeared to have everything figured out. Yet it becomes evident that her life is controlled by external forces, and she too feels trapped. She disapproves of Benjamin's involvement with her daughter, which has been arranged by her husband and Benjamin's parents. Benjamin, in contrast, seeks control over his life and believes he can find true happiness with Eileen, Mrs. Robinson's daughter. After he runs away with her on her wedding day, they seem happy, but the scene doesn't conclude there, leaving a lingering sense of uncertainty, mirroring the confusion Benjamin felt earlier in the movie. This persistent confusion is emblematic to life itself, a journey filled with uncertainty and unpredictability. It's a reminder that we never truly figure life out. Instead, we find meaning in the journey. No one, not even love or another person, can save us. This understanding was elusive for me when I was younger. The problem with me was I related too much with the Tom's character. Now when I became acquainted with Summer, I can empathize with her circumstances. Summer likes to live in the realm of reality. She isn't as naive as Tom, her experiences having shaped her into a more critical thinker. Her parents' divorce has undoubtedly influenced her perception of relationships. As a child, you often view your parents as soulmates, but witnessing their divorce may have shattered her belief in the conventional portrayal of love as presented in traditional media. For her, it's not an issue to part with someone she holds dear, like her hair, because she understands that nothing lasts forever. She adopts a more stoic approach, choosing not to burden herself with excessive attachment. In contrast, as the movie unfolds, we discover that Tom's parents have also gone through a divorce. Surprisingly, Tom's belief in idealizing love remains unshaken. He seems to compartmentalize his parents' divorce and his own aspirations of love. This divergence in their response to parental divorces highlight the differences in their character. He remains committed to his vision of love, even in the face of adversity. However, this unwavering belief can also be seen as a source of his internal struggle and difficulties in reconciling his ideal with the complexities of real-world relationships. Both Tom and Summer have their unique reactions to the parents' divorce. This reaction ultimately defines their character and influences the course of their relationship in a film. When Tom sees Summer, it's love at first sight. I think the next clip summarizes what I want to tell very well.
Their intentions weren't good, or where it feels like they just used us and then moved on. We don't then romantically tell the story of it was love at first sight. We say, that was a really toxic situation, or I got really caught up with someone and it bit me. We don't talk about love at first sight. Love at first sight is very easy to talk about retroactively with someone that you're still with 20 years later. You can look back and go, it was love at first sight. Right. It doesn't mean there weren't feelings at first sight. It's just that you then build and build and build and build and build, and it's quite romantic in retrospect to say that what we had in the beginning was very powerful.
In the movie, Tom stands in the elevator, lost in the music of Smiths. Suddenly, Summer enters and declares her love for the Smiths too. Tom interprets this as incredibly positive sign, believing that they share so much in common, especially in their taste of music. I had similar experiences with a girl named S, and we were discussing movies, and I mentioned that I watched Serendipity a day before. She responded saying that she had watched it as well. At that moment, I felt a genuine connection, thinking that she was truly amazing, and it would be hard to find another girl with the same taste in movies as me. I excitedly shared this with a friend, and he promptly pointed out that the movie Serendipity had been shown on the movie 1,000 times, and that was nothingly uniquely special about her, especially when it comes to her movie preferences. Now, with the benefits of life experiences and hindsight, I can confidently affirm that my friend's perspective was accurate. It's a reminder that common interest, while enjoyable and important in relationship, don't make someone uniquely exceptional. There are many more things to consider in complexity of human connection.
Just because some cute girl likes the same bizarro crap you do, that doesn't make her your soulmate, Tom.
After the first conversation with Summer, a pivotal moment occurs in the film when Tom is inspired to draw his workplace, a greeting card company building. He believes that Summer has inspired him, and this is key turning point in the story. However, it's important to note that while Summer may have served as a catalyst for Tom's newfound motivation, the impact she has on him is not solely about her, but in fact a reflection of a broader theme that every person has a different and unique influence on our lives. Tom's belief that Summer is sole inspiration behind his newfound creativity is a clear example of his tendency to idealize her. He sees her as embodiment of everything he desires in a partner, and often attributes her with qualities and abilities that may not entirely align with reality. This idealization is a significant red flag because it demonstrates his unrealistic expectation regarding love and relationships. It's a red flag because it suggests he's not truly seeing Summer for who she is, but rather he's projecting his fantasies onto her, making someone a reason to do something never turns out great. Maybe that's why he's unable to complete that building. When he does it for himself, he's able to finish it. The reality is that every person we encounter in our lives has unique impact on us. And this impact is shaped by various factors such as timing, circumstances, and personal experiences. In Tom's case, the conversation with Summer, along with the emotions he's experiencing, acted as a catalyst to his inspiration. It's not that Summer alone possesses the power to inspire him, but rather she was the right person at the right moment to ignite this particular spark within him. This realization underscores the importance of understanding that our relations and emotions are complex and multifaceted. People can inspire and influence us in various ways, and it's essential to recognize that these influences are not solely in results of other person's qualities, but are also shaped by our own thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Tom's failure to see these complexities is another red flag, as it reflects his tendency to simplify and idealize relationships, which can lead to disappointment and misunderstandings. When Tom falls in love with Summer, he thinks that life is worth it and everything is possible. He experiences a profound shift in his outline of life. However, this transformation in his perspective also raises several important points about his character and emotional state. There is a lack of clear goals in him. Prior to meeting Summer, it is evident that Tom lacks a clear sense of direction or purpose in his life. He appears to be drifting, perhaps stuck in monotonous job that doesn't fulfill him. This lack of clear goals or sense of purpose can contribute to feeling of dissatisfaction and a lack of happiness in his life. He always seeks external validation. Tom's perception of life becomes worth living upon falling in love with Summer highlights his reliance on external factors, such as romantic relationships, to find happiness. This can be a problematic approach because it makes him dependent on others for his emotional well-being, which is often unsustainable. What Tom is feeling is merely serotonin in his brain. The early stages of romantic love often leads to surge in feel-good neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. However, these neurochemical responses are temporary and not a sustainable source of long-term happiness. Tom's fascination for Summer can be seen as distraction from addressing the underlying issues of his life. Instead of relying solely on external relationships to provide a sense of fulfillment, Tom would benefit from working on himself, setting clear goals, and finding happiness and commitment from within. This could involve personal growth, pursuing interest, and developing a stronger sense of self. When Summer implies that her weekend was good, his immediate assumption that she has met someone else shows his tendency to jump to conclusions and let his insecurities take over. Instead of seeking clarity and open communication with Summer, Tom surrenders to negative thoughts. This reflects a lack of resilience and inclination to assume worse without giving their relationship a fair chance. On the flip side, after Summer breaks up with him, Tom falls into despair, believing that he will never find anyone like her. This indicates that he places too much importance on one person, Summer, and puts her on a pedestal. This lack of resilience and inability to cope with loss highlights a larger issue. Tom's inability to adapt the changing circumstances and his inclination to believe that he won't find happiness elsewhere. In both the scenarios, we can see Tom has crises of hope. He lacks the emotional fortitude to confront the challenges in relationship and adapt to changing circumstances. This character trait is often contrasted with his friend's advice that there are plenty of fish in the sea. Tom's friend is trying to encourage him to remain hopeful, to not fixate on one failed relationship, and to realize there are other opportunities of love and happiness out there. Tom is very conventional in his thinking. Tom believes that the girl who dresses a certain way look pretty reflects a conventional and somewhat superficial perspective on beauty. He subscribes to common societal standards of attractiveness, which often place a premium on outward appearances. This conventional thinking suggests that Tom may not always be open to appreciating different forms of beauty and individuality. When Tom believes that he should take a stand for Summer when a man is disrespectful to her in a bar, he displays a sense of chivalry and adherence to traditional gender roles. This notion that he, as a man, should protect and defend the woman in his life is reflective of conventional thinking about gender dynamics in a relationship. Tom's character is indeed idealistic when it comes to love. He envisions love as perfect, all-consuming force that leads to everlasting happiness. However, the film seeks to deconstruct this idealism by showing real love is messy, imperfect, and doesn't always follow the conventional romantic narratives presented in movies. What Tom initially perceives as love doesn't always align with the real-world complexities of a relationship. Tom's conventional thinking sets the stage for personal growth and transformation throughout the movie. As the story unfolds and his relationship with Summer evolves, he begins to question and challenge these conventional beliefs. This process of self-discovery and understanding the differences between idealized notion and reality is a central theme of this film. Tom learns that the true love and happiness are more complex and multifaceted than a conventional idea that he truly initially holds. And this realization plays a crucial role in his character development.
You need to know that you're not gonna wake up in the morning and feel differently.
I can't give you that. Nobody can.
When Summer invites Tom to her house and shares personal stories with him, Tom interprets that these gestures as a sign that their relationship is more than just a friendship. He perceives a deeper connection, which makes him believe that they are moving towards a romantic relationship. Meanwhile, Summer continues to maintain that they are just friends. There's clearly a contrast in what they think about each other. Ultimately, Tom's character exhibits a strong need to assurance and commitment. He becomes disturbed when he realizes that Summer is not ready to commit to a romantic relationship. He seeks security and reassurance that their connection is lasting and Summer won't change her feelings for him. This need of certainty reflects his vulnerability and insecurity in the face of ambiguity. Tom's reluctance to accept the reality of their situation is a significant aspect of his character. He often seems to exist in a world of idealized notion, projecting his own desires and wishes into a relationship. He struggles to come to terms with the fact that Summer doesn't share his romantic feelings, which is a source for his emotional turmoil. This detachment from reality is a central theme in film. He gradually learns to reconcile his idealized version of love with complexities and unpredictability of real-life relationships. In our head, we play with lot of things which have no connect with the reality. The expectation versus reality scene is a great example of that. Earlier I talked about the girl I loved. I always wanted to go to her house and talk to her mother. Ask her if she's okay, as she recently lost her husband. There was always this fear in my mind that I won't even be able to walk on the street of her house. One day I decided to be brave. I walked on that street, but it wasn't anything like I imagined. I thought it would be welcoming, full of lights, but it was very dark. I didn't know which house she lived in. I had thought I would see her mother outside and go talk to her, but nothing was there. There was a big gap between what I expected and what the reality was. But the point of the story is at least I conquered my fear by going there. There's this monologue from Tom, where he says that people should be able to say what they really want to say, not just the words other people put in their mouth. Tom is working for a company who sells greeting cards. After his heartbreak, he finally comes to realization that his romanticization and ideals of love are wrongly influenced by movies and songs. He thinks that people should be able to say what they actually feel. He blames his company too for selling fake words. I think we can evidently say that this company is a representation of what's happening in advertising and media these days. Media often portrays love in idealized and some way unrealistic ways. Hollywood romantic dramas, for instance, can lead people to have unrealistic expectation of love. Couples may find themselves trying to replicate the grand gestures and passionate declaration they see in the movies, even if it doesn't feel genuine in their own relationship. Advertising is replete with carefully crafted slogans and catchphrases designed to resonate with consumers. These slogans often find their way into our everyday language without us even realizing it. For instance, the phrase "just do it," coined by Nike, has become a widely recognized encouragement to take action. Advertisement shapes our perception of luxury and identity, which in turn influences our language. Considering how marketing of luxury brands like Rolex and Chanel perpetuates the idea of success and affluence. This not only leads people to aspiring to these lifestyles, but also adapting to this associated vocabulary, such as luxury, class, elegance in their daily conversations. Movies, television shows, and music also plays a crucial role in shaping languages and expression of love. Romantic comedies, for instance, often depict idealized version of love and romance, which can lead people to adopt phrases and gesture as they see on screen. The use of line "you complete me" from the movie Jerry Maguire has become part of vocabulary in a relationship.
I'll love you forever, Sid.
In movies and television, it's general trope of characters to say "I will love you forever" and "I will love you for eternity." While this sentiment makes for emotionally charged storytelling, it often strays far from reality of human existence and the constraints of time. The notion of loving someone forever is a beautiful and romantic idea, but it needs to be understood in a more nuanced context of real life. Humans have finite lifespans. We are bound by the constraint of time, and thus concept of loving someone forever is inherently limited. The reality is we cannot guarantee that we will be around for infinite duration to love someone. Life is unpredictable and the circumstances may change over time. Human relationships dynamic evolve over time. What may feel like undying love at the moment might transform into deep abiding affection or a different kind of love as a relationship matures. This evolution doesn't diminish the love but highlights the need to adapt to changing circumstances and emotion. Devoting oneself entirely to another person to a point of losing one's identity or aspirations is not conceivable to a healthy and balanced life. The real life love should allow individuals to grow, pursue their dreams, and maintain their whole well-being while sharing their journey with a partner. When people internalize the notion of loving someone forever as depicted in the movies, they may set unrealistic expectations from their relationship. This can lead to disappointment when the relationship inevitably faces challenges and changes. It's essential to acknowledge the impermanence of life. This does not mean that love is fleeting. Rather, it encourages us to cherish the present moment. At this point, the movie has addressed the problem and also trying to solve it for Tom. He's creating a new belief system for him to live and grow in his life. He starts working on himself and goes after the actual job he wants to do. This is the first time he actually does something significant for himself. He had no interest in himself. While in the process of moving on, he's remembering Summer again. His sister tells him that he's remembering only the good stuff. Our brain possesses a remarkable ability to focus on only the good things, to focus on the positive aspect of relationship, even when objective reality might indicate otherwise. This cognitive phenomena often refers to as rose-tinted glasses. It serves as a defense mechanism to protect our emotional well-being. It enables us to maintain a sense of harmony and attachment, even when there are challenges and problems exist in relationship. The brain's knack for highlighting the positive can foster resilience and optimism. But it's essential to remember that acknowledging and addressing any underlying issue is equally crucial for maintaining a healthy, balanced relationship. When he starts to remember underlying problems, there were moments where Summer was very disinterested in him. Tom wanted to do some things and Summer showed no interest in those things. She has started to show some reluctance towards him. I myself is guilty of this too. I used to look only good in people, which hurt me when they left or hurt me. Now I look at things objectively. If they are good, great. If not, that's fine too. They might be going through something. Like this, you don't falsely idealize someone. Living like this is a form of self-love for me.
I just woke up one day and I knew
Knew what?
what I was never sure of with you.
When Summer says this, it's unbearable for Tom. It was the same for me when I first experienced this. But it's the harsh reality. Some people are just not a good fit. And then you met someone and all the things fall into places. They just feel right. Tom tells Summer how everything he knew about love is just wrong. She replies to him and says that he was right all along. Everything that he said about love was right. Finding someone and having a romantic relationship with them is so beautiful. Earlier she had no belief in fate, but now she has started to believe it. Now this seems over the top and wrong for me. She's just creating the same delusion Tom had created about his relationship with her. But then she says something really important. She says that it just wasn't me you were right about. This is amazing insight that at first we should look at any relationship objectively. If it's a good fit, then you can be happy with them. Then you can create a story structure how you can be happy with them, how the love is everlasting and how it makes you feel. It's not wrong. It will help you with staying with your partner in long-term relationship and have a really happy life. I guess I like before Trilogy more because finally they confronted the fact that this is a real life and people aren't perfect. Initially the story of those movies was little amateur. The dialogues were great, but also the characters was immature as well. In the final movie of the trilogy, the movie deals with some harsh fact of life, which are choice of staying together in thick and thick of the relationship. People aren't perfect like we want them to be. They make mistakes and you have to give them chance to choose if they still want to work on a relationship. Working on it is what matters ultimately. Find your person, and if they are willing to, then work on having a great life. 500 Days of Summer addresses this issue too, but without us as audience realizing it. There's this scene that Tom tells to Summer that I hope that you're really happy. The subtle flickering of eyes says it all. Relationships are not always perfect, and it doesn't make you feel happy all the time. You just have to work at it. The subtle flickering of eyes is very similar to the last scene of Graduate movie. The characters are still uncertain. That's the reality of life. In the final scene of the movie, commentator says that Tom has finally learned his lesson. But then he asks out a girl about who he thinks that their meeting is a fate. From this scene, I really feel bad for Tom, that he has still a lot of things to learn about. Eventually he will find a partner, but there's still time to it. I hope he respects himself and finds the right partner in his journey of life.